Now, the MacBook Neo just got 500 ringgit more expensive, up from 2499 ringgit to 2999 ringgit in just 4 months. No thanks to the global price hike of RAM and flash storage. So if you haven't bought it yet, is this still worth it 5 months in after that price jump? Well, watch first and buy smart. Now let's start with what you're holding every single day. Because the MacBook Neo is made out of a single piece of aluminum which weighs about 1.25 kilograms. It is cold to the touch, feels expensive and feels like a premium laptop. Now the reason why I stress this is because if you go shopping for a Windows laptop under 3000 ringgit on Shopee or Lazada or any other shopping platforms, you're probably getting a plastic or aluminum so thin that you can bend it with your bare hands. And this MacBook Neo does not do that. Then there are the color options. You can either go low profile like silver or go with the other colors, either this blush, indigo or citrus, that will make people at the mama stop you just to ask what color is this, or probably what laptop is this if they do not see the logo. And that was a very intentional thing from Apple because they decided to make the cheap one the fun one. And 5 months in, there are no scratches, no creaks, no bending. So the design and the build quality on this is a 5 out of 5 stars for me. But here's the interesting part. The 13-inch screen on here looks really good. Almost like an OLED screen, but actually is an LCD display which has a resolution of 2408 by 1506 pixels with 500 nits of peak brightness. And Apple made that choice intentionally because they knew who this laptop was for. Because imagine a young student or your mom and dad looking at this and saying, yeah, it is LCD lah, not OLED. Because they won't even notice there's no things like True Tone or the fact that the MacBook Air has a wider color gamut, especially for your day-to-day use like using WhatsApp, replying emails, web browsing or even watching YouTube. But if you walk into a Harvey Norman or a Senheng and put this next to a Windows laptop at the same price, a lot of them have an OLED screen with at least 90 Hz and the MacBook Neo is still stuck at 60 Hz. So the display, for the sake of comparing the specs, gets a rating out of 3.5 out of 5-star rating. So all of that leads to this real story. What is exactly inside of this laptop? Because Apple took the A18 Pro chip, yes, the same one from the iPhone 16 Pro, and put that chip into this laptop. And Apple kept it quiet, like literally, because this MacBook Neo has no fans, so it stays silent and also makes no noise at all. Now, if you use this every day for 5 months doing things like web browsing, replying emails, light photo edits on Canva, online shopping or streaming, you won't get any sort of a lag or neither it will freeze at all. But here's the surprising test, because I did take some footage out of the Sony a7S III, which is a 4K 30 frames per second footage, and I edited a full reel right on this laptop. While it is not made for it, but it handled it very well. So imagine your kid could edit a whole reel on this laptop and pull it off without breaking a sweat. And yes, I'm talking about you, Isaiah, if you're watching this. So yeah, for a laptop that has a phone chip inside, the performance gets a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Now, if you guys are finding this video helpful, do give this video a nice big thumbs up to tell YouTube that this video was good for you. And a subscription will be extra sweet too. So thank you, and thank you very much in advance. But everything only makes sense if you actually know the limitations that you get over here. Firstly, there's only 8 GB of unified memory. You can't upgrade it, not even if you want to pay more at checkout. So what you buy is what you keep forever. Now you think that might be a problem, but 5 months in, it hasn't been an issue at all, as mentioned in the performance segment. Now Apple's memory system on macOS quietly handles it in the background, and if you're someone who keeps 30 Chrome tabs open plus Photoshop and Zoom, then you probably are better off getting the MacBook Air or even the Pro instead. Then there's the ports limitation, because there are 2 USB-C ports on this MacBook Neo. One is USB version 3.0 and the other is USB version 2, and while charging is the same on both. The USB 3 port is the only one that supports external display up to 4K 60 Hz. And since there's no MagSafe over here, if you charge the laptop, you only have 1 port left. But thankfully, there is still the headphones jack. And while the keyboard matches the laptop's color with the lighter shade and all, which looks really great, but there's no backlight over here. And in year 2026, that is almost strange to leave out. Now, speaking of leaving out, if you are wondering where is the Touch ID on this variant of the MacBook Neo, well, Mine is the 256GB variant, so it doesn't have one. It's only available for the 512GB version. Then the trackpad has also no force touch like the other models, so it is a real mechanical click. But 5 months in, you don't feel a difference because it tracks as smoothly as any other Mac. Now, while macOS 27 is coming later this year, but the public beta is out right now, so you can install that either later this year or install the public beta at your own risk. But one thing I need to tell you all is that the big news is that Siri AI needs at least an M3 chip with 12GB of memory. Well, not really, because everything works except for two features, which is the Siri expressive voices and the more advanced dictation. So if those two things are not as important for you, then the good news is that you can still have the best of Siri AI over here, including the dedicated Siri app, and even ask Siri by just right-clicking at a document and asking about it. Now, speaking of Siri AI, I did an in-depth review testing Siri AI and what it can do across all of the Apple devices. So do check out that video over here if you guys haven't done so. So this particular section is a 4 out of 5 stars. So let's talk about what everyone on your video call actually sees and hears, right? Because this laptop has 2 side firing speakers with spatial audio and a 1080p webcam. And on top of all of that, there's 2 microphones with beamforming to cut the background noise for your daily Zoom calls, FaceTime with family, or just a quick voice note. It does all of that fine. And here's Nicholas with a sound and a camera test for you to hear and see how the microphone and the webcam performs.
Hey everyone, so this is what the webcam looks like and this is what the microphone sounds like.
But of course, the sound quality when compared to a MacBook Air or even the MacBook Pro, you will hear the difference in terms of the speaker's depth right away. The Pro especially sounds so much more fuller. So this is Apple giving you the lease that still works very well compared to having you the lease which lets you down. So when it comes to the audio and the webcam, I would give this a 3.5, almost 4 out of 5 stars. Now, does the battery die halfway through your video calls or just when you're ending the day? That's the real question 5 months in, right? Well, this is the part that will surprise you because Apple says that this can last up to 16 hours of video and 11 hours of browsing. But in real life, on a normal work day, if you leave the house about 8 AM at 100%, by 12:30 PM, you probably lost about 35%, so 65% and still half day left. That was really great to know. Then when it comes to lighter days, mostly for emails and WhatsApp, you can actually go 2 full days without charging. So yes, the A18 Pro is doing what exactly Apple chips has always done, hence the battery gets a 5 out of 5 star rating. Now, if you want a written version of this whole entire video, we do have one at our website at www.adamlobo.tv. Links to the website will be down below, but we also have some daily tech tips and daily tech news over there too. So after 5 months in and a 500 ringgit price jump, does the MacBook Neo still make sense? Well, if you find a good deal on the older MacBook Air, M2, M3 or the M4 on Shopee or through a reseller, the gap is smaller now because the Neo costs more. So you can check those numbers yourself before you decide. But if you're coming from a Windows laptop or never owned a laptop like this and you want to get your first real Mac, this MacBook Neo still gets the basic right with build quality, performance and battery life. And that's the same formula Apple nailed at launch. So the price hike didn't break it, it made the math tighter. So you make the call.